Magic Gifts by James Riordan. Illustrated by Errol Cain. Far away in a Russian village lived two brothers, one rich, the other poor. Ivan the rich had meat in the pantry and bread on the table, a cozy house and a wall-stocked stable, bins full of flour and barns full of wheat, fine clothes to wear and plenty to eat. In a word, he was well-to-do, and crafty too. His brother, though, was poor and simple. All he owned was a cat by the fire, and a frog in the mire, 7 children with nothing to eat, no cabbage soup, not a scrap of meat. So at last Ivan the poor went to his wealthy brother for help. "I've come to ask for food," he said. "My children are crying. Their bellies are empty." "Very well," said Ivan the rich. "Here is a bowl of flour, but I must have a sackful in return." There was nothing for it but to take the bowl. Yet before the poor man could reach his door, a great gust of wind blew all of the flour out of the bowl. This made him extremely cross. "You careless wind," he shouted, "would you let my children go hungry? Just you wait. I'll see you out and make you pay for your mischief." Off he hastened after the wayward wind, as it swept across the plain and into the forest. By and by the wind stopped and went into the hollow of an oak tree to get its breath back. As the old peasant squeezed in after it, the wind looked up in surprise. "Say, skinny old man, why do you follow me about?" "Because you spilled all the flour I was taking to my children, that's why. I cannot go home empty-handed." "Oh, is that all?" said the wind. "Here, then, take this magic cloth, spread it on your table, and it will bring whatever you ask." The poor man thanked the wind and hurried home. As soon as he entered his house, he spread the white cloth on the table and said, "Cloth, cloth, magic cloth, bring black bread, onion, and fat meat broth, pickled dill and mushroom pie, and a samovar of tea to cheer the eye." No sooner were the words out of his mouth than the cloth flew up in the air and turned itself inside out, and when it had settled back again, the table was filled with all the food that you could think of, and even more. Ivan and his wife and their 7 children ate till they could eat no more, and then went to bed content. In the morning the cloth worked its magic, and once again, this time with cheese curd and honey cakes and bilberry tea. Just as they were having their breakfast, however, the wealthy brother arrived. When he saw the table groaning under the weight of the meal, he turned green with envy. "Well, I never!" he exclaimed. "Did you strike it rich overnight, brother?" "Not rich," the other replied, "though I'll never want for food again, not you, dear brother." And turning to the cloth, he said, "Bring rye flour in a sack for me to pay my brother back." The rich man's eyes nearly popped out of his head as the cloth flapped up and turned itself inside out and produced a sackful of flour from out of nowhere. In a daze he took the sack and left without a word. Before sundown he was back again. "I must ask a favor, dear brother," he said. "Some unexpected guests are due in the hour. The stove is cold and the bread unbaked. Pray, lend me your magic cloth for a while." Ivan the poor was pleased to help his brother, handed the cloth over at once. That evening Ivan the rich regaled his guests with all of the manner of a good fare: a barrel of beer, light and clear, a sucking pig, crisp and big, sour black bread, and wine ruby red. When the drunken revels were over, he took the magic cloth and hid it away in an old oak chest, and took a tablecloth just like it to his brother. Some time later the poor man and his family sat down to eat before the white tablecloth. Cloth, magic cloth, bring some supper," said Ivan. But the cloth just sat there, white and still and bare. And though they waited patiently, neither porridge nor tea appeared upon the table. The poor man hurried to his brother's cloth. "What have you done with my magic cloth?" he shouted at his brother. "Whatever are you talking about?" said the other angrily. "Why, I returned it to you. There was nothing for it but to return home." One day went by, and another, and then another, and the poor man's children began to cry for food. But the larder was empty, not a crust of bread, not an onion skin. Ivan had to visit his rich brother again. "Good morrow, brother," he began. "My children are crying. Their bellies are empty. Let me have some flour, I beg of you." I've no flour to give you, said the other roughly, but there's a plate of milk jelly left over from the tea. Take it as you wish. The poor man took the plate of milk jelly and made his way home. The day was warm, and the bright, round face of the sun smiled down on him, and soon melted the jelly clean away. Ivan squinted crossly at the sun. "You shameless son," he cried. "You just wait till I catch up with you. I'll make you pay for your mischief." So Ivan set out to catch the sun. He walked and he walked all through the hot day, but the sun kept just ahead of him. It was only towards evening that it finally sank down between two green hills, and it was there that the Ivan caught up with it. When the sun saw the poor peasant beside it, it looked up in astonishment. "Tell me, skinny one, why do you pursue me?" "Because you melted the jelly I was taking to my hungry children. I cannot go home empty-handed." "Oh, is that all?" said the sun. "Here, take this goat from my flock, feed it on acorns, and it will give you gold instead of milk." Ivan thanked the sun and drove the milk goat home. He fed it on acorns as the sun had promised, and then began to milk it. Gold poured into his bucket, and from that time on, Ivan's family never lacked for comfort. It was not long before, however, his crafty brother heard about the magic goat and paid him a visit. "Well, I never, my dear brother," he exclaimed. "Would you do me a favor and lend me your goat for an hour or so?" "Very well," replied the simple peasant. "You may take it. Only don't try to cheat me again." Ivan the rich took the goat, fed it on acorns, and milked it, and when all of his pails were overflowing with gold coins, he hid the goat away in a shed and took an ordinary goat back to his brother. As soon as he was gone, Ivan the poor fed the goat with acorns and set it to milking, and to his grief white milk squirted from its udder, and not a speck of gold was to be seen. He hurried off to his rich brother, but that rogue would not so much as listen to him. "Be off with you," he shouted. "I know nothing of it. I gave you back the self-same goat as you gave me." Ivan the poor trudged sadly home. The days passed, the weeks flew by, and his children started to cry. Winter snow now lay on the ground. It was very cold, and there was nothing to give the children. Finally, Ivan had to go to his rich brother once more. "My children are crying. They are so hungry," he said. "Take pity, brother, and lend me a bowl of flour. I have no flour to spare, but you can take the remains of yesterday's cabbage soup." Ivan the poor took the pot of soup and went home. And as he walked through the snow, the fierce frost crackled, and it grew colder by the minute. Soon the frost began to make sport of the meal. First it spread a crust of ice over the soup, then it swept some snowflakes over the ice, and finally froze the soup into a solid block. Ivan was exceedingly angry. "You wicked frost, you nipped my cheeks, numbed my feet, and left nothing of my soup save a block of ice. Just you wait, I'll make you pay for your mischief." Ivan set out to catch the frost, but the chilly white frost swept over the fields, leaving the old peasant trailing in the snow. It descended on the forest, hanging icicles on the bare boughs, and finally came to rest under a large snowdrift. To the frost's amazement, Ivan appeared at its side. "Say, skinny old man, why do you follow me?" it asked. "I was taking a potful of yesterday's soup home to my children, and you froze it solid," retorted Ivan. "How can I go to my starving children with no food? My brother stole my magic cloth and the goat that gave golden coin, and now you have ruined the cabbage soup." "Oh, is that all?" exclaimed the frost. "Well, my magic sack will do all that needs to be done. You only have to say, 'Jump out of the sack,' and two strong men will spring out. And when you say, 'Jump back in the sack,' the two strong men will jump back again." Ivan thanked the frost and hurried home, and when he was alone indoors, he opened the sack and said, "Jump out of the sack!" In a flash, two strong men sprang out of the sack and rained blows with thick clubs on poor Ivan, all the while shouting, "Ivan the rich thinks of nothing but gain. Learn to be wise, or he'll cheat you again." So hard did they thrash him that it was all he could do to mutter, "Jump back in the sack." At that, the two strong men jumped back again and sat at the bottom of the sack as quiet as mice. Towards evening, the rich brother came to Ivan's house. "Where have you been this time, brother?" he asked, "and what have you brought back with you?" Well, I paid the frost a visit, replied the poor man, and he gave me a magic sack. All you say is jump out of the sack, and the two strong men spring out and will do all that needs to be done. Oh, do me a favor, dear brother, and lend me your sack for the day. My roof is broken, and I have no one to repair it. Gladly, brother, you may take my magic sack, but do take care. Ivan the Rich took the sack home with him and locked the door of his house. He placed the sack carefully in the middle of the ground and rubbed his hands, gleefully giggling shrilly, and called, "Jump out of the sack!" At once the two strong men with thick clubs sprang out of the sack and began to lay about him, repeating, "What belongs to your brother is not for you. Return him his cloth and his magic goat too." Ivan the Rich staggered to his brother's house with the two strong men beating and thrashing him soundly every step of the way. Save me, brother," he gasped. "Take your magic cloth and your goat that gives the golden coin, and call off these brutes who are killing me." "Jump back in the sack," ordered the poor man, and at once the two strong men returned to the sack and sat there as quiet as mice. The rich brother meanwhile dragged himself back home more dead than alive, and never did he cheat his brother again. Ivan the Poor lived in health and good cheer, growing fatter from year to year. His spoons are gaily colored, his bowls are made of wood. There's butter in the porridge, and the soup is very good.